everyone, my name is Leanne and today I am joined by a very special guest. This is my friend Victoria, and today we are going to be talking about how to make bookshops, the book industry, the publishing industry a little bit more eco-friendly. I don't really know all that much about that kind of stuff, but Vic, she knows her stuff.
I have no qualifications, but I've done a fair amount of research in my spare time just about eco-friendliness as a whole. So hopefully I can bring a bit of knowledge to the table.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes.
Do you want to give your social media a quick little plug before we get into it? Because if you want to know more about eco-friendly stuff, like Vic's Instagram is the best place.
I've got an Instagram and a Facebook page, which under the handle Grow Your Eco. I don't have a website yet, but I'm thinking of setting one up as like a blog. But on there, I basically just post pictures and little tips and tricks and facts about how you can be more eco-friendly and things that you can do at home in like your everyday life, which aren't that difficult. You know, it's not like you have to go to an oil company and say, hey, stop. You can just switch to having your milk delivered by a milkman instead.
Well, I'll leave all of Vic's social media and stuff linked down below in the description, so you can just follow the link. But I guess that kind of like stuff you can just do at home is easily stuff that is like stuff you can do in the office.
Oh yeah, a lot of it is very transferable. So for instance, things like I would tell people to take their own lunches to work, so that you can control that it doesn't come in any packaging, or you can bring your own cutlery, your own water bottle.
I think especially if you are in London, like so much of the publishing industry is, that's also going to save you money as well as being eco-friendly.
Well, that's the thing with places like London and other big cities. It's very normal to have a to-go lunch. So you'll get something on your way into work, or you'll get something. You know, you'll nip out for 2 minutes from the office and then take your food back or whatever. But it does save you a lot of effort and a lot of money and a lot of packaging and stuff if you can bring your own food from home.
So is there any other quite simple office stuff that people can do?
I think recycling will probably be a big one. So even though I imagine a lot of companies, you know, publishing companies nowadays do have a recycling policy, from the work that I've done in other big businesses, even if it's just like shop work, I found that not everyone sticks to it. And the bigger the company, the more difficult it is. Because
I'm just going to point out, if you can hear some rustling, we do have a dog.
You're embarrassing me.
But I guess maybe if you are in some sort of more, maybe a more managerial role, but not even if you are, maybe check in and see what your company's recycling policy is. And
try and get everyone on board, because when places I've worked in the past, even as like a team leader, I would see people, you know, putting stuff in the wrong bag or the wrong bin, or just things getting mixed in there that shouldn't be mixed in there. And it's really easy to do. Obviously, if you're having a really busy day and you've got so much stuff going on in your brain, the last thing you're going to be thinking about is whether it goes in the green bin or the black bin or whatever. But stuff like that does make a difference. And recycling incorrectly can actually do more damage than not recycling at all.
Yeah.
So if you put a material in a recycling bin that can't be recycled, it will then get mixed in with a bunch of other materials that can, but that will contaminate it.
Oh, okay.
So if it's melted down, you'll say you've got plastic bottles that can be recycled, but then you've got another type of plastic in there, like a crisp packet that can't. That will then be mixed in and will spoil the clean recycling materials.
So that's all quite like general stuff that
basics
that will work in any sort of office or retail situation. Is there any stuff that you think is particularly applicable to the book industry?
Publishing companies, their offices, their factories, their warehouses, their bookshops, even the transport between all of those different things, if they could use some sort of greener energy, so, you know, electric cars or transport vehicles, even putting things in bigger shipments so they all travel in one go rather than lots of little ones.
See, I know that from working in a bookshop that sometimes you receive so much packaging for the tiniest book. And
so bad.
I know there is some sort of thing to do with shipments, how they get all the boxes to like Tetris in together.
Yeah.
But it does still seem somewhat wasteful when I get a massive big box in and there's maybe like two books in
tiny,
it.
Tiny amount of books. That is something that really annoys me, especially with buying stuff online. I try not to do it as much now, but my mum and dad specifically love Amazon. Other online retailers are available. And
your local independent bookshop.
Yeah. So, oh crap. Can we edit that out? My leg.
So is that like really one way that you could benefit the like being eco-friendly is actually going to your independent retailer
100%,
rather than
100%,
yeah.
Waterstones or the Works, that kind of stuff. Even though they're big companies, it's better to go to them than online. Because if you think about it, when you're out and about in town, you don't usually just go to one shop, you go to several.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got one item that you've ordered online, say you've got 3 things in your basket.
So that's 3 different shipments.
Different days.
Yeah. I've never thought about it like that before.
Whereas if you go in one go,
yeah,
order, get everything you want, you then also you can then control how you get into town. So if you go on the bus, if you walk, it's all these little things that people don't realize add up.
Yeah.
One thing I do think could be made different is the way the publishing industry works is they will print X amount of books, they will be distributed, and then if they're not sold, they're taken back and pulped.
Or they get redistributed to places like the Works where they're sold really cheaply.
Whereas I see that as you've got one product. If you see it just as one book, it goes from the factory to somewhere else, to a shop.
Yeah.
It's not sold, it's sent back, it's sent to somewhere else, it's sent back. It then gets basically just destroyed and turned into something else. So all of that journey that it's had, whether it's been travelling by car or plane or, being sat in a shop that's been powered by electricity and all this kind of stuff, it all adds up, and that book has then had a very wasteful life. Yeah. And then it's not even read. Yeah. Which makes it even more sad.
I think that's one of the benefits of maybe Waterstones ordering less books, which is something they've decided to do. Yeah. I know there's pros and cons to them doing that, but I think that's one of the pros.
I would agree with that. It depends on the way you look at it as well, because people might say that the print-on-demand thing is then good, because you're only making what you use. Yeah. But depending on how big the print run is, say, again, you order one book, you got to turn on all those machines, you got to turn on all the lights for the workers to print one book, and then turn it all off again. Yeah. Whereas I imagine if you turn it all on and then print, 500, and then turn it off, it's, the way that the system and the machines are made to work is efficient. Yeah. Whereas if it's just one book, not so much.
And I think if you are someone who's then working within this industry, I think it's just a matter of like questioning things, like asking someone, so what is the process that happens here? And I think maybe for people who are working in the warehouse or production side of things, that's particularly applicable to what you do.
Because more often than not, people don't do it maliciously. More often than not, people don't realise, because that's the way it's always been. So they'll get a job because they need money, and they'll do the job the way they're told to do it because they want to keep the job. Yeah. But then, say you've been in that job for a year, you would then have some kind of platform to say, well, why don't we do it this way? Suggest to someone, or at least ask.
Question everything.
We do it this way?
Yeah, always question authority.
Because it might be that the way that they do it now is more efficient than it was 5 years ago. So that's why they do it that way. But if you've got ideas to make a business or an office or a factory or anything more eco-friendly, those suggestions do make a difference. Even going down to things like in your work's bathroom, asking to switch from a liquid soap to a bar of soap, depending on how big your office is. Or asking to switch from paper towels to a hand dryer. So
I think the Jiffy bags was a big thing that a lot of people noticed. Yes. And I think a really big thing was like book bloggers or like influencers pointing it out. Yeah. Because I know Simon Savage on his BookTube channel, he gets a lot of book mail in, and he will always point out if the publisher has used non-recyclable packaging. And I think that's something, as people who talk about books on the internet, you have you have a real power to be like, I
to
don't
influence.
yeah, I don't want you to send me non-recyclable materials.
Yeah.
So if
Having-
you're going to send me
yeah.
books, make sure it's done in an eco-friendly way.
Having that voice and that platform, it gives you that little bit more volume than the average person who can only vote by buying.
Yeah.
And even then, if you go into a shop and buy a book, you don't see the production that's happened to get it there. Whereas, like you say, if you're a blogger and you have a bit more insight into the background of it, you have that voice to be able to say, you know, maybe we could do it this way.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's becoming a lot more, not popular, but people are a lot more aware that there's issues going on to do with the environment. And so big businesses don't want to then be shamed and lose custom because they're realizing their readers care about the fact that, oh, we used to shrink wrap books in plastic. We're not going to do that anymore.
There was a story, maybe, like, was it like 6 months ago or something like that now, there was a book about being eco-friendly.
It's called No More Plastic. Tiny little guide as well. So this tiny, tiny little book that basically has very simple tips on where you can find plastic that you wouldn't think you would find it. So for instance, things like chocolate bar wrappers, crisp packets, they can't be recycled. They're made from plastic. They will last for thousands of years, and they haven't yet invented a crisp packet that can be recycled. Which to me is mind-blowing.
It sounds baffling. Can we get Gary Lineker on the phone? Can he sort this out?
Can you have a word with the
Come on, Gaz.
Walkers? This book entitled No More Plastic, the first however many 100 or 1,000 copies that were printed came shrink wrapped individually in plastic. And
who made that decision?
I don't understand at what point in that production was there nobody who went, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
What
So
are we doing?
they can either be shrink wrapped or put in cartons.
Yeah.
And
so
I
that's
assume the cartons are just cardboard.
Yeah.
So
Which is a lot better.
yeah.
Because cardboard you can either reuse, you can compost it as well. A lot of people don't know you can compost cardboard.
Are there any other things that you think are particularly applicable to publishing or books or?
Well, I went to a lecture at the London Book Fair, which we went to together. It was really fun. And one of the lectures they had there was about independent bookstores and how they can, in turn, be more eco-friendly.
Yeah.
And I have no ambition to open a bookstore, but I found it really interesting to see. Go to Dublin in a few years.
Maybe.
It was really interesting to listen and see that there was people trying to get this knowledge out there, and it was again quite simple stuff.
Yeah.
So again, it was things like changing the energy provider, changing light bulbs within the shop,
which is also good for your business, I think.
Yeah,
because
even
it
good at
saves
your
money.
home. Yeah. Because you save so much money on bills. If you use, I think it's an LED bulb, it will save, I think it's something like 70% more energy than a regular, with the little wire thing in it.
Yeah.
They lose a lot of energy just through heat. Cleaning liquids you use, if you use ones that don't have harsh chemicals. So there's a brand called, I think it's Ecover or Ecover or something. I have some. But they've been proven to not pollute water systems and not damage wildlife or cause algae blooms and stuff. They can be really damaging. So it's things you can use in your own home as well, but they just need to be applied on a bigger scale. A lot of eco-friendly products are more expensive. That's usually because they're made sustainably and ethically, so people get paid proper wages to make them. But that in turn might make people more hesitant to buy it.
Yeah.
So say toilet paper, let's take that example. If you've found a brand that says they're really eco-friendly, like Who Gives a Crap, that's the name of the brand, by the way. But you can only order their stuff in like bulk buy, so it's like £30 a time.
But that makes it ideal to be then applied to a business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a big amount of money to put out in the first go if you've not tried this product before. So it's really hard to get people on board because they're like, I don't want to spend £30 on toilet paper I might not even use. Especially when you hear that, oh, it's made out of 100% recycled paper, and everyone's like,
Yeah. I think especially when it's toilet paper, people are like...
It's not made of recycled toilet paper, okay?
I think I saw something recently, I don't know the exact details of it, but I think it was Penguin who they like subsidized the price of reusable like coffee cups.
Oh, yeah.
They were like Penguin branded, but like subsidized the cost of them if one of their staff members wanted to purchase one.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Especially because a lot of publishing is like office work.
Yeah.
And it's very go, go, go.
I think particularly if you are a large like conglomerate company where you
can afford it.
You can afford to make these changes or encourage your staff members to be...
Yeah. I think a lot of it, some of it's to do with money, for definite, but I think a lot of it is to do with people being scared to make the change in case it's not well received. For instance, with McDonald's, they've recently switched to paper straws, which is fantastic, but there was a petition that was signed by like 30,000 people to bring the plastic ones back. That makes me so sad.
I think that's a lot of people who are just like, why has this change been made and I wasn't personally consulted? The other factor is these big companies deciding to really get behind initiatives and undertake their own initiatives. So like the things with the coffee cup is just one small example. Yeah. But also, we have a dog!
Hello, boy!
Hello!
Do you want to say hello?
Hello?
This will be a great thumbnail.
Maybe things like publishing houses really getting behind things like Earth Day and really promoting it and making sure it's actually they've like got involved with that as much as they can.
I think part of that as well, even if they don't care about it, it will up their brand. It will really up the sales, because even people who aren't like eco warriors or whatever, the average person nowadays does care. So if something says it's eco-friendly, people go, oh, that's really good. That's so good. Go there.
Do some book recommendations then of
yes,
books that are good for learning about this stuff.
I think that's a good idea.
So your first book.
My first book is called Green Christmas. It's by Jennifer and Peter Sander. And I bought this one last summer because I'm a little bit weird. But I was aware that Christmas can be quite a wasteful period for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if there were ways I could reduce that. It's got some great tips on things like artificial versus real Christmas trees, how much wrapping paper is used on average per year.
I remember, like, when I was a kid, like, the black bag that my mum would go around with to pick up all the wrapping paper.
Oh, no. Obviously, Christmas is about, the children bringing joy to people and all that. But the amount of wrapping paper, not even per family, but per person, because everyone buys each other, usually at least one gift. The younger you are, the more gifts you get for some reason. I don't think that's fair, but...
But then I think, like, when publishers are maybe sending out gifts to people...
Yes.
around Christmas. Be aware of what you're wrapping them in. Yeah,
because a lot of wrapping paper can't actually be recycled. A lot of wrapping paper, especially if it's got glitter on it. Glitter is made of plastic. But most wrapping paper, how it's got that shine on it? That's a plastic lining. And mixed materials can't be recycled. But this book covers pretty much everything. It's got, how you can save energy, how you can make your meal more eco-friendly. Basically, try not to buy everything brand new. Try to make stuff if you can, or buy secondhand. There's someone screaming in the street. The second one I did actually get for free. I got it through the university because I helped out with... I was a green representative at the uni for a little bit. But this one would be $6.95. It's called How to Be a Student and Not Destroy Planet Earth by John Clift and Amanda Cuthbert. This one I absolutely love because it's very visual, if I can...
It's so many colours!
Look at those colours. I believe it's printed with sustainable ink. I believe it is.
I didn't even know that was that sustainable ink was a thing. But again, that's something that, like, if you are involved with that process in any way, question everything.
Yes, you'd be aware of it. So most inks would be oil based.
Yeah.
Oil
Not good.
It's bad. It's from deep underground. We just want to leave it there.
So what do we want our ink to be based on?
Vegetable based is
Vegetable based oil. Okay.
Vegetable based ink, and that's probably the best.
I've learned so much just from questioning the production process of this book.
Again, it's not a big one, which is what I like about all these books, is because there's something that you can come back to in little chunks, or you can read it all in one go and in like one train journey. Absolutely love that one. Highly recommend it if you can find it anywhere. If not, maybe I'll send it to you. We'll do a giveaway. The last one that I've got was released last week, I think.
Yeah.
But
I'm very excited for this.
You can borrow it if you want.
Okay.
I've read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already read it. It's by Greta Thunberg, I think is how you pronounce it.
I don't know. She's great though.
She is fantastic. This is $2.99. I bought it on a whim in the uni bookshop because I saw it and I just saw her name and I was like, I need this. It's got a little picture of her on the back in her signature yellow waterproof jacket. And it's basically just a collection of her speeches that she's done. Bearing in mind she started doing this when I think she was 15. And she's so eloquent and she's got all the facts in such a simple and easy to understand way. And it's so moving to see someone who's 15, so she's 6, 7, 8 years younger than I am. And she's got a book. Yeah. And all proceeds from this go to charity as well.
Well, see, that's another brilliant thing, that if you are a large enough company, or you don't even need to be that large, but like having something where like your proceeds are going towards sustaining the industry that you are utilizing.
So there's 3 charities I think they're donating to. There's an animal charity, there's an autism and Asperger's charity, and then there's like an eco-friendly climate change.
Does she have?
She has.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I didn't know until I read this. But she says that she likes the fact that she's got that. People said that it would be a hindrance in her life, but she says that she likes it because it allows her to see the climate crisis in black and white rather than a grayscale kind of issue. Yeah.
So if you don't know, Greta Thunberg is a teenage girl who has been very publicly vocal.
Yeah, she's a climate change activist. She was the person who started the Youth Strike for Climate, which if you know nothing about, just Google the hashtag. They have a website. They're also related to Fridays for Future. But basically, she did some research in her spare time to find out what this climate change thing was. Yeah. Found the facts, discovered it was horrific, and didn't understand why it wasn't on her school curriculum. If it's this awful. Yeah. Why aren't children learning about this? And she was told that if she wanted to make a difference, she should get some education, become an ecologist, be a scientist, and then change the world.
Ain't got that kind of time.
No, it's too late then. We'll be dead. Yeah. A little bit dramatic, but essentially she decided that she wasn't going to go to school on Fridays anymore. Okay. So every Friday since then, she has school striked, and she sat outside the steps in Sweden of her local council house, and she protested that there needs to be a change. And until there is, she's not going back to school. She goes through Monday to Thursday, so she's still getting education. But on Friday, she's not there. She's, out in a little yellow coat. Yeah. And making awesome speeches.
And this is just like a collection of her speeches, but transcribed.
So far. Yeah. They are releasing another book as a family, so her mom and dad and sister have written another one called Scenes from the Heart, which is like a memoir. Oh, so that's coming out later this year or next year, I don't remember.
If I can find a pre-order link, I will leave it down in the description.
So, with regards to the whole climate change thing, if you want to make a difference, my biggest advice would be to do research in your own time. Read those books. I do have a list somewhere of other books I need to read. One of them is called How Bad Are Bananas? I don't know who that's by.
We can find that out.
But that's to do with food wastage and why it's important to buy your food locally. So, for instance, I love me a banana, but I know they're not grown in England. So And I want to do a bit more research about how they're grown and where they come from.
Well, that all feeds in again, though, isn't it? If you are doing like a publicity event and you have to do catering, find out is there like a local cafe that you can support as opposed to
rather than a big company like going to M&S Food and getting a bunch of sandwiches made in. If you can go to your local deli, your local farm shop, your local tea room, just to see if they cater for events, and if they don't, ask if they would, because you'd be amazed how many little businesses will grasp hold of that kind of opportunity. Because if they can cater for one, especially if it's like cold food, like sandwiches, you can prep in advance. You said usually they would use local ingredients too because it's cheaper.
So that is everything we've got to say today about how you can make the book industry and the publishing industry more eco-friendly and sustainable. Obviously, I'm definitely not an expert in this.
I'm not either.
You know more than I do. So if you've got any other tips, things that you've noticed, things that you would like to happen in your workplace, or ideas for how we can change the industry, do leave any comments that you've got down below, because I would love to hear what you thought about it. I've never worked in a publishing house. I've worked in a bookshop. So like there is probably lots of day-to-day stuff that we haven't really thought of. So if you've got any other tips or ideas, do leave a comment down below.
Or questions as well.
Yeah.
I'll try my best to answer them.
Do you want to?
No promises.
Vic will do some lurking down in the comments.
I'll see you.
But yeah, thank you.
It's alright, thank you.
For coming on the channel.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you in my next video.